Hi, everybody. This is the next installment of Junction City News. I am Regina Mahoney, the city manager for Essex Junction, and today I have with me Chelsea Mandigo, who is the water quality superintendent for the city of Essex Junction. Chelsea, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. So today we are here to talk about stormwater, and more specifically, the city is looking to set up the formation of a stormwater utility. So, Chelsea, let's start by giving an explanation of what stormwater is and why we even care about it.
Sure. So, stormwater is water that's created by rain and snow, and as it runs off of hits hard surfaces and runs off, it takes whatever the pollutants are with it. And that is what causes water quality issues. So in the industry, we call the hard surfaces impervious surfaces, and that's things like pavement and rooftops. And so our job is to manage that stormwater runoff to prevent pollution and to ensure public safety. And we do this through stormwater infrastructure. We have storm drains, culverts, stone-lined ditches, wetlands, stormwater ponds, and they're all trying to manage stormwater in a safe way and prevent pollution. And we actually have some state mandated permits that require us to do this. Especially focusing on our local waterways, Indian Brook and Sunderland Brook, as well as Lake Champlain. And so we have to develop a stormwater management plan and telling the state of Vermont how we're going to meet the measures that they're putting upon us for water quality in the stormwater, or reducing stormwater pollution. And we also have to create flow restoration plans and phosphorus control plans, which are exactly what I mentioned, reducing the amount of stormwater runoff and controlling the flow of stormwater into the streams to be more of a natural state. And phosphorus is found in soil and naturally occurring. Problem is humans have put more phosphorus in the landscape than the vegetation can take up. And that's usually attached to dirt particles, and when stormwater runs off, that's where we cause the problem. We're putting too much phosphorus into Lake Champlain and causing water pollution that way.
Got it. Okay. So the city's been under these requirements for the city and village before.
Yes.
Been under these requirements for quite a long time.
Yep.
So how has this been funded in the past?
So in the past, we actually were pretty connected with the town of Essex on this manner because we were looking at it as a watershed problem, which it is, and it doesn't have the same municipal boundaries. We all were working for the Sunderland and Indian Brook watershed and Lake Champlain. So a lot of the funding was through the town capital fund for stormwater. They have a dedicated stormwater fund, and a lot of our funding was through that. But as we moved on from working with the town, we're currently funded with the general fund, which is based on property taxes. Now that has some challenges because we're now competing along other important capital needs like police and fire and streets and parks that all are in the general fund. And also tax exempt properties do not contribute to property taxes. And so we've done a really good job providing stormwater services, especially having a tight budget the past few years while we figure out how to better fund stormwater. And that's why we really and to meet with our permit requirements is why we really started looking at a stormwater utility and if that could work for the city.
Okay, great. And as you're talking, you're reminding me that you have been the water quality superintendent for how long, roughly?
3 years.
3 years. And before that time, you did the stormwater work.
Yes, I was stormwater coordinator and for majority of the time, and I also was a wastewater operator too. So very familiar with the stormwater program and what its needs are and its challenges and what its successes have been.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, and where I was going with that, though, is we haven't replaced your position since you took the lead job over water quality. So it's been a long time we've been making do on these requirements.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, so are we on our own doing this, or have other folks done stormwater utilities?
Yeah, we are not alone, actually. The majority, or close to the majority of other communities in our region that have state mandated stormwater permit requirements have already developed utilities.
Okay.
The oldest goes back to 2005 in South Burlington, and the most recent established utility was the town of Shelburne in 2021.
Okay.
So we'll be on a long list of already established communities.
Great. Okay, so what exactly is a stormwater utility?
Yeah, it's a great question. So a stormwater utility is a way to provide a fair and equitable and stable source of funding for stormwater management. And it's based on stormwater user fees. So just like you get a water bill or a sewer use bill, it's looking at the impact your property has on the city's stormwater infrastructure. And so we can't meter stormwater like you can water and sewer. So instead we have to do an analysis to look at how much impervious surface you have on your property and what that equates to as an impact on our infrastructure and the management of stormwater.
Okay. And as a reminder to folks, impervious surface is essentially the surface that disallows any kind of infiltration of water into the ground, and it's partially cause for running off, the water running off.
We can see this example here in the next slide. But yes, it's the hard surface that's preventing that stormwater the rainwater really, that would naturally go into the ground in a normal forested environment. Is being prevented from doing that with our changes to the landscape. So an impervious surface or an area is technically defined as an area developed areas of land that prevent or significantly impede infiltration of stormwater into the soil, which is basically what we just said. But here is a great example. This is an aerial view of a parcel in the city, and the blue highlight is everything that is considered that impervious surface, that hard surface. So you see in this example, the parking lot and the roof are what is considered impervious surface.
Okay.
So this is an industry, well, I think we might need to go, nope, we'll go back to this one, sorry.
Okay.
So the impervious area, that's what the utility is going to be built on, is those impervious area fees, and that's an industry standard. And it's more equitable because it's proportional to the burden that you put on your property, and it again allows for that dedicated source of funding. So now we can go to this slide.
Okay. Okay, so how will we bill folks based on the impervious area?
Yes, it's a bit confusing, but we'll walk through it. So the standard unit of charge is we're going to be calling an equivalent residential unit. So a desktop analysis was done on aerial imagery of the city, each parcel, and it was measuring what the average or the median was of parcel or impervious surface of the parcels in the city. And that is what is going to be considered one ERU, and that is what a single-family home is going to be charged. And then for a single-family home in the city's example is also going to include duplex and triplexes. Okay. Non-single-family homes are going to be measured based on the actual amount of measured impervious surface they have on their property. So we're going to walk through some examples.
How that works.
Yep.
Okay.
And that will be in this next. Oh, nope, not quite yet. First, we're going to talk about how we came up with the units. So to determine what one equivalent unit will cost a resident, we have to look at the revenues of the revenue requirements of the stormwater program, including staffing and known and unknown capital needs, to name a few. And then we also have to look at the units of service. So what is our equivalent unit going to be defined as a measurable amount? How many do we have in the city overall? Are there any exemptions? And are there any credit programs, which we do have for both of those, so we can talk about those in a few moments. So those all go into factoring what that rate's going to be.
Okay. And so this is essentially saying we are figuring out how much it costs us to properly meet all those state mandates and how much it costs us to manage the stormwater properly.
Yep.
And that's our expense side and figuring that out. And then we're trying to figure out how to most equitably distribute that based on actual impervious surface throughout the city.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it.
Now we can talk about some examples that will help sort this for folks. So these are actual properties in the city here that we looked at. So we can see a single family home. We determined the rate, or the median impervious area was 2,967 square feet for a parcel. So that's what one equivalent unit's gonna be considered. And then to look at non-single family homes, so commercial properties or tax exempt properties even, you do the same type of analysis. You measure the amount of impervious surface, but then you divide that measured amount by what that one ERU is. So 57,785 divided by 2,967 is 19, or close to, rounded up. So that particular parcel will be charged 19 equivalent units. And you can see what our estimated amount is. It's going to be $75 to $80 about for a single family home. We haven't finalized that quite yet. We still have some factors to consider. But that is going to be built 3 times a year as part of your utility bill. Okay. But it's 75 divided by those 3 bills for a single family home.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to sidetrack us for just 1 second.
Yes.
As we're looking at this dollar amount. So to some extent, some of this work we've been doing already has been in the general fund, the regular fund that people pay when they pay their taxes. So we will see some reduction in the general fund budget because we're moving this stormwater work over to this utility when we get this set up properly. But as we've talked about, over the last number of years, we've been a little bit behind what we should be doing to properly manage our stormwater in the city as a whole. So the expense side is likely to go up, but this will at least be shifting that burden some off of the property tax, so people will not see it there, but they'll see it over in the utility bill side.
Yes, that is, yep, that's how we'll be approaching it.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's see where we got here. Credits?
Yep, and exemptions.
Credits and exemptions, okay. So, you've explained so far that the nonprofit properties that are not charged a property tax now, they get utility bills, they'll get a utility bill associated with this. But there are some properties that are not going to get charged this.
Very few, but yes. Okay. One is the Global Foundries, or what is known, that property in general. They have their own permit for stormwater, and actually all of their stormwater goes directly into Winooski River. Doesn't go into any city right away like a lot of the other properties. In the city, so they are exempt for that reason. Also, any parcel in the city that is required to create required agricultural practices plan is exempt, and that went through the state of Vermont actually made a law against that, or an act, I should say. And so we have 3 parcels that fall underneath those requirements in the city, and those 3 parcels will be exempt.
Okay. And that's essentially, those are farms, and farms are required to meet their own water quality
practices.
Yep. Okay.
The city will be paying our own utility fees, so on our parcels.
Okay.
So we're not exempt in that case. And then for credits, so credits will be available for non-single family properties. They will not exceed 50% of your fee, though. And it's really based on if you have stormwater infrastructure, you can get credit for that, or other education too, because a lot of schools actually have a lot of stormwater infrastructure, and they can get credit for that, and teaching their students about stormwater education.
Okay.
And so we have a manual that will lead people through this and applications that they can apply for. And we've also factored into our financial model when creating the rate, estimating how many credits typically do come through. And so that shouldn't impact the rates for at least the first year. We have to reassess the rate every year as part of the budget process anyways. But that is being factored into assuming a certain amount of credits will be applied for.
Okay. So for the non-single family, so some of these larger properties, they have a lot of impervious surface. If they essentially do some work where they are managing their stormwater on site and it doesn't come into our system, they might be eligible for a credit for up to 50% of the fee.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Okay, so what are the next steps for us in developing the utility?
So we are creating a stormwater utility ordinance that will govern the utility, but also just stormwater work in the city as a whole, along with the land development code, which already exists. And then we will have a public hearing on that ordinance later this fall. We'll also be reaching out to non-single family parcels individually that have a higher amount of ERUs that are being assigned to them, and talk about the fees and go over the credit manual with them so they have that information on a one-on-one basis rather than just seeing it when the first bill goes out.
Yeah.
So we also have a website where we're going to be putting all the up-to-date information. Also, anyone can contact me at any time to ask further questions. And we're going to be putting out some press releases.
Okay.
Yep.
And if all goes well with the development of the ordinance and the public hearings, folks can expect to see this utility rate show up in their February utility bill.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anything else you want to add on this topic?
I think we've covered it.
Okay. All right, awesome. So we've got the actual URL up here where folks can go and get some more information. We will be having a public hearing at the City Council when the ordinance is ready. So we don't know the exact date of that yet, but October, November. And so folks can participate that way as well.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So thanks, Chelsea.
You're welcome.
Before I wrap up today, just a couple of other things that we've got going on in the city. We are working on a transit-oriented design program, and that is really focusing on safe streets and the private infrastructure next to it, really focused around where the bus comes in and serves the city, so the center and Pearl Street and Park Street, and trying to figure out the future of what that should look like. So we are doing a design charrette October 4th through 7th, and that would be really great for everybody to come out and participate in that. The website itself is called connectthejunction.org. I'm just going to check this real quick in case.
Oh, yep, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I had a feeling Ashley put in some information.
Whoops.
Also, we are just finishing up the Crescent Connector project. That is the new roadway that was put in connecting Park Street to Maple Street in Essex Junction. And we are preparing for a ribbon cutting for that road on October 7th at 10 a.m. And we have EJRP doing the Pumpkin Palooza at the Maple Street Park on October 26th from 4 to 8 p.m. That's always a super fun event to bring your kids and go trick-or-treating through the park, which is really fun. And yeah, we've got a number of different Junction City News episodes that we've got up on our website, and you can visit that for any topics that we have been talking about lately. So that's the time we've got for today. Chelsea, thanks again for joining me.
Yes, you're welcome.
And hopefully everybody will join us for the next Junction City News. We do it on the 4th Wednesday of the month. And that's it. Thanks so much.